afternoon. Our speaker, our first panel this afternoon will feature Dr. Daniel Amosu Black. He is an award-winning, renowned novelist and beloved professor here at Clark Atlanta University. He graduated from Clark Atlanta University and went on to receive his Ph.D. from Temple University. His novels, he has 6 novels: The Sacred Place, Perfect Peace, which has won many prizes, 12 Gates to Heaven, The Coming, which is absolutely stunning, and I have to say, if you have not read The Coming, that is the book you must read. And Listen to the Lambs. Last year, he published 2 novels. That's unprecedented for someone to have that kind of productivity and teach a full load, as we always encourage our faculty to do. It is my pleasure and honor to be able to bring to you Dr. Daniel Black.
Thank you. When Dr. Johnson called and asked me if I would do this, I said, Dr. Johnson, you know, I'm not sure folks want to hear me all over again. We were here not long ago celebrating The Coming and Listen to the Lambs. And so I decided to do a kind of medley of sorts from many of my novels, and to talk just a minute about what now is the life of a writer. You know, it's really funny that some moons ago, I was the student sitting right here in Davidge, and I was listening to writers like Maya Angelou, who was at Clark College at the time. James Baldwin came through in '87, and so many other writers. And the irony is that now I'm the writer other students are listening to. So I'm really excited about this. Just for a little fun, I'm going to ask, how many people have read Perfect Peace? Okay. Good. How many have read They Tell Me of a Home? A few hands there. The Coming? Yes. Okay. All right, 12 Gates to the City. I say. Okay. Listen to the Lambs. Oh, yes. Okay. All right, The Sacred Place. Yes, I have to. Fantastic. I'm going to read from a few of these, and then I want to take some questions. And I really want to talk, quite frankly, about the magic of what it really means to be a writer on the national and the international stage, and how awesome it is to be a writer whose roots are in a historically Black college. Now, many of you know me, I'm going to start here, but I can't stay here because this thing really kind of confines me. So I'm going to start with The Coming. I'm very happy to announce that The Coming has been adopted by several universities and is the required reading at high schools and colleges. I just left Howard University a week and a half ago, where the whole campus read The Coming, and then I'm headed to Northwestern in January. Then I just left Carleton College yesterday in Northfield, Minnesota, and so the word is getting around. It's getting around. Where are my amazing students? Yes, my people. And then came the disaster. With open arms, we embrace those who look nothing like us, assuming that all life honors life. But we were wrong. In the end, we fed and strengthened our own path forward. We cannot claim naivete. We cannot say we were people undeveloped. We cannot say there were no signs. We can say only that we did not heed them. Sound wisdom was as common to us as the evening breeze. We scoffed and shrugged at elders' forewarning of a time of great tragedy and chaos. We didn't know then what we know now. A life of leisure destroys a child. When there's nothing to work for, there's nothing to gain, nothing to die for. So we had to die that we might live again. And that's what we did. We died. By the thousands and hundreds of thousands, we died. We've never seen such unjustifiable violence. Bloody bodies lay prostrate across the earth as if pleading forgiveness. Pleading for forgiveness. Those who survived did not mourn. There was no time. The loss was too great. We still have not mourned. We still have no time. We remember, yes, but we have not mourned. And so death came quickly. It came unannounced. It came cloaked in our own garb. It came white as clouds. It came in the darkness of night. Death came in legions with guns and ammunition. It came like the monsoon winds. Death came like a flood. It came with earth-shaking force we could not control. It came under the authority of nations we did not know. Death came with men whose absent wives benefited from their husbands' despicable behavior. Death came with men whose children would one day inherit their father's legacy of violence and wealth ill-gained. Death came to thousands and hundreds of thousands without sympathy for our loss. It came with compelled brutality. Death came to scatter children's blood-soaked bodies about the earth, thus fertilizing dry, yearning soil. In the end, and in truth, death came to teach us that we were brothers. This was our coming. Some were taken by surprise. Some were killed on the spot. Some were taken in their sleep. Some were ambushed in the forest. Some were tricked into believing they were going for a walk. Some were consumed with hatred. Some were inebriated. Some were busy settling communal affairs. Some were nursing wounds inflicted by spouses. Some were telling children bedtime stories and talking spiders. Some were beating drums to warn the rest of us. But the rest of us weren't listening. When the drums fell silent, it was too late. Our entire destruction was complete. Our whole village raised in one solitary cycle of the sun and moon. They destroyed our homes and forced our leaving. They bound us in chains of heavy iron. Elders rendered mute and lifeless. Babies deprived of life's knowing. All we could do was wonder. We did not speak. There was nothing to say. In those moments, we heard our elders' warnings and we understood. We knew they loved us now, far more than we had understood before. But they could not hear our cries, our pleas of lament, not with the ears of the living. So one by one, they took us away. They took the farmers first. Those who knew the land, the earth, the ingredients of the soil. Those who heard its rumble, felt its movement, understood its seasons. They took them first. Those who knew seeds and germination, plant spacing and harvest. Those who walked bare feet upon the soil in homage to its life-sustaining power. They took them first. It was no accident, y'all. They would farm again in a new world, feeding a nation committed to their own degradation. And after the farmers, they took healers. They were not hard to find. Most days, our healers lingered about the village, repairing minds and bodies too troubled to heal alone. They had learned from us the value of our healers. They knew that without them, we were weak, vulnerable people. If they took our healers, they must have assumed, they also took our ability to mend. And they were right. So they captured our healers that we might not rebound. Villages of frightened, wounded children without medicine men and women would take centuries to heal. They knew this. Their strategy was as calculated as a hyena's attack. Without shaman, who would usher life back into our suffering soul? And after the healers, they took the Jali, that our stories might not be told. And after the Jali, the warriors, that our collective strength might be divided. And after them, the artists, who had told us we were beautiful. And after them, they chained and muted orators and teachers to stop the flow of inspiration and to abort the belief that we too were gods. They murdered gatekeepers on the spot, since at their word, multitudes of angels would have come. They would have come, but they were never called. And finally, they slaughtered those whose gifts were less visible, although to us no less valuable. Keepers of knowledge, masters of the spirit, gurus of assistance, guardians of order and balance. In the end, pale people took away everyone and everything that made us strong. It was also devastating. But this is our coming. So we marched quickly. We marched through forests. We marched over hills and valleys. We marched through high desert land. We marched alongside waterfalls and brooks. We marched through high grass. We marched on barren earth. We marched past monkeys dashing in the distance. We marched past giraffes whose frantically swimming marched past people we didn't know. We marched past people we thought we hated. We marched past people with whom we were at war the previous day. They would be our brothers tomorrow. We marched until some of us died. They were unchained and tossed aside. There are no markers to commemorate those lives. Of this we are sure. We marched and we marched and we marched and we marched. From the rising to the setting of the sun, we marched. Then we collapsed and the moon gave us ease. But at the sun's rising, we rose and we marched some more. After 56 days on the water, we discovered one among us whose name was Tope. He was short and deep brown, not black like the rest of us. His brows were thick and unruly, and his eyes set far apart. Beauty was not his blessing, but we loved him no less, and his tongue never tired. When he fell silent, it was only from our urging. His name meant give thanks, and he meant to do that even in the land of bondage. Day and night he whispered of the majesty of God and the truth of our glory. His tongue irritated many, so his voice fell to a murmur, but he never quieted. God is a good God. God is God of the universe. God is God. He is God of the land too, and we are beautiful and we are wonderful and we shall survive. God shall redeem us. God shall. Pale men do not own the sea. They can't own the very air, not the very air itself. We are God's children and God will redeem us. God will and God will survive us. Many didn't want to hear this. Our situation did not confirm his sentiment. Still he spoke with clarity rare as a white tiger. He was the only reason gloom did not consume us. Even when we chose not to hear him, his voice trembled through the air, never letting us forget who we were and where we'd come from. Sometimes he even laughed, not from glee, but because he believed earnestly what he said. This is not the end of the story. 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 The end shall justify the means. Sometimes he walked away from us and spoke to the air. We were too frustrated to hear, but he was too discouraged. He knew who he was. He knew why he'd been sent, both to the earth and on this voyage. And come what may, Tope didn't intend for pale men to have our souls. So he spoke into the atmosphere, and words became particles that permeated our flesh. We stayed this side of life because as Tope battled, gloom weakened its devastating hold. We didn't know this then, but we know it now. We thought that magically our spirits rebounded and resumed the desire to live. But in adversity, there is never magic. There is only faith. And it was his faith that bolstered our failing spirit. There was no other explanation. We saw the bottom of life on that ship, and we didn't succumb because Tope believed in us and said so every day and night. Gloom skipped over him, although he'd been sent with us the entire journey. He was an air child, meaning one whose spirit was never heavy. So he called upon the air to carry his message to our souls when our ears could not hear him. And sometimes he spoke to the earth. On hands and knees, he pressed his mouth to the ground and mumbled quietly. We didn't know what he said. Most didn't care. They were too consumed with misery. But a few noticed and wondered what exactly he was doing. He'd rise occasionally, Tope would, and clap with excitement as though understanding something we did not understand, then return to the position of humility. We believe now that he saw our future and understood why things had to be this way. Sometimes he would simply look up and laugh. This shall not be the end. This shall not be the end. We were angry. We found no humor in our moment. And then one day, Tope saved us. We believe that Tope saw beyond the moment and knew that our dispersal around the world would be to the world's benefit. He was centuries ahead in consciousness. Of course, he despised what happened to us and how we were treated, but he seemed less concerned with pale men than with keeping our spirits alive. The day he took the block and some old pale man bought him for almost nothing, we sighed and shook our heads. But as they dragged him away, he laughed loudly, staring at us, continuing to say, this shall not be the end. This shall not be the end. This shall not be the end. We didn't understand it then, but now in our transfer the story from the realm of consciousness into this realm of living, if you will. And so the coming just kept coming to my head and to my brain, and I kept hearing this. I kept hearing, we are the Serere, we are the Akan, we are the Ashanti, we are the Igbo, we are the Hausa, we are the Hausa, and we were coming, and we were coming, and we were coming. I said, oh, what? You know. First of all, again, I'm hearing other characters in another book, so I'm like, can y'all just chill? You know, let me finish this other book, then I'll come back to you. What I didn't know then, God help me. What I didn't know then is that this coming would be written for people who would once again end up burying our sons in the street. I didn't know that the release of this novel would coincide with the murder of young black people so intense that once again we would be returned to a consciousness of why is this place killing our people. Right? I didn't understand that then. I get it now. And what I really understand is that that coming then is this coming now. Right? That really, this whole notion of killing black people and this whole notion of commodification of black bodies, this notion of why is it that in America black bodies keep eliciting such a visceral, such a violent response? And the truth is that for me, folks are really angry that you ever didn't want to belong to us. Don't you know we still own you? Right? See, this is the children, this is the great-grandchildren, this is the great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren of the same ones brought over here, if you gonna get with me. Right? We really talking about the same people. Right? I pray I don't get fired after this lecture, but okay. My English here, she got this. But this is very important. This is very important because if we don't really understand that connection, then we'll think the killing of black bodies is a new thing. Right? We'll think that there's some new phenomenon in America that the world has never known, and oh my God, we got to figure out what to do with this. No. The destruction of black bodies is really the perpetuation of white supremacy in America. Right? This is how it keeps going. You know, every black body is in exchange for the exaltation, right, of whiteness. Right? And so what we have to really understand is the coming is really asking you to stand up and start coming. Come on, young people, come on. Come. From north, south, east, west, from California, from New York, from South Georgia. Come. And give us the answer. Figure this thing out. We're at this place called Clark Atlanta University because we're supposed to be telling the rest of the world something that the rest of the world can't figure out. Yes. That's what we do. That's what knowledge is for. Us to put together variables and to say, that's what this means. That's what we're here for, and that's what we're here to do. So, if you would like a copy of The Coming, we'll sell you a copy of The Coming. $15.99. You can buy it right outside if you like. I'm going to go back to my very first novel, because I don't think any of you were here when this novel came out. This was 2005, so most of you were probably in junior high. What year is it now? 7? So that was 12 years ago. They Tell Me About Home is the story of a young man who leaves home and goes away to college, to a black college in Atlanta. And he has a dream one night, and he dreams of getting a college degree and returning home to this very, very, very rural place and becoming the schoolmaster in this little one-room schoolhouse, right? So I'm going to read to you this dream he has. In my dream, I saw myself saying, "Stand, young man, and recite Langston Hughes' Mother to Son." And I want it without error. But Dr. Tyson, I didn't get a chance to learn all of that poem because I had to chase the chickens. That is no excuse, young man, I would say. Your brain must be developed. You are to make something of yourself. Yes, sir, the child would undoubtedly say. Then I would pace the room and begin to teach about something else, perhaps We ran away secretly so slave owners wouldn't try to keep us as slaves for the rest of our lives. It's called the Underground Railroad because it was supposed to be a secret. But what if somebody found out about Mr. Birch keeping slaves in that dungeon, huh? Well, by law, son, he would have to die. It was illegal for a person to harbor runaway slaves because they were seen as property of the slave owner. It was a heavy risk, but many of our people took it. Suddenly, I could see pride on children's faces that their ancestors had done something morally right and divinely righteous. I would continue teaching. There was a woman named Harriet Tubman who was called the conductor of the Underground Railroad. Sometimes I thought you said it wasn't no real train. It wasn't a real train. She was called the conductor because she made trips back and forth hundreds of times, showing slaves where to run and who to trust along the way. She knew the route better than anyone else and spent her whole life helping brothers and sisters to freedom. But what if somebody got sick and they couldn't run no more? Well, sometimes Miss Tubman would leave them, or they might die trying. It was not a pleasant journey, children, and many whites would rather Miss Tubman have been dead because she was stealing precious property. She did what she had to in order to free her people. That's why folks started calling her Moses. Like the Moses in the Bible! Yes, just like that Moses. She took hundreds of men and women north to freedom. She knew the railroad stops and she knew how to tell north from south in the dark. She knew which roots could be eaten and which could not, and she knew when to lay low in the woods like a rabbit without ever being detected. She was an incredible woman, children, with an incredible, incredible mission. Dr. Tyson, can we go on the Underground Railroad? Can we please? Oh, children, no, I wish we could, but the railroad doesn't exist anymore. Its only purpose was to provide hiding places for runaway slaves. When slavery was abolished, the railroad no longer had a purpose. But can we at least go out to Old Birch Place and just see if there was a dungeon under the living room floor? Well, I don't know, children. The house was abandoned years ago. It's probably about to cave in now, and God only knows what creatures are crawling around inside. We don't care, Dr. Tyson. We don't care. We ain't scared. Come on, Dr. Tyson. Please take us out and show us if one of the stops on the Underground Railroad was right here in Swamp Creek. We close our books and simply walk out the front door of the schoolhouse. We do not speak a word along the way, and we do not entertain fear that someone will see us. For the first time in most of their lives, the children walk with confidence unshakable. I begin to cry as I watch them transform into the ancestors we were only talking about moments earlier. They don't walk like poor country children anymore. They have been endowed with the power of self-love and self-beauty. Their Walmart clothes and Fred's shoes are laughable now as they march toward their past with a zeal almost contagious. We march until we get to the house. It has no remarkable features except that it looks dilapidated and fragile. The children stop in front of the shack, looking to me for further instructions. Now, children, listen. Listen. I don't want you to be disappointed if there's no dungeon. Please. Sometimes legends just don't pan out the way, people talk about them. The children remain silent, hopeful. They have come seeking something far greater than anything I can say to dissuade them. We must be very careful, children. The house is old and is surely not standing securely. Again, they stare at me. They stare through me as though wanting nothing more than for me to move out of the way of history. Seeing that my words have no power, I proceed to lead them onto the porch and into the dust-covered living room of Old Man Birch. The house is bare for the most part. An old chair and a battered rug covering the floor are all the room contains. The children step through the door carefully, tiptoeing on a hope that will preferably give them joy and meaning. They stare at the rug and wait for me to lift it. Children, again, listen, don't be disappointed. If you don't find a dungeon, listen, it doesn't subtract from the reality of the Underground Railroad. The stops along the way just might have been, just different from what people thought. Again, the children say nothing. They stare at the rug and wait for me to lift it. So I take a deep breath. I bend down, grab the edge of the rug, and lift it, revealing the trap door. The children's eyes grow large. I take a deep breath and lift the wooden door as it squeaks in pain. Below is nothing but darkness and dampness. Some of the children hold each other's hands and shake with fear and excitement. Well, children, we've come this far. No need stopping now, I say. And they follow me down the descending staircase. The dungeon is larger than any of us had imagined. It is only about 5 feet high, but it is wider than the entire living room. The children nudge one another with joy and pride as they begin to snicker about having found a lost treasure. It is completely dark. We cannot see even our hands before our eyes. there are other beings who join us there. And a child begins to sing, wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water, God's gonna trouble the water. And I'm wondering why that child is singing that song. But other children join in, wade in the water. And in the darkness of the dungeon, we all sing together, wade in the water, children, wade in the water, 'cause God's gonna trouble the water. The children begin to weep and moan as they feel the pain of their ancestors who once rested in this exact place. Some of them cry out in agony while others squeeze themselves and rock comfortingly. Some of the children stand simply and close their eyes and I don't know what's happening here. I wonder if I should abruptly interrupt this ritual and return the children to the world we once knew, or if I should let the spirit have its way. I do the latter and watch the few strips of light sneak through the cracks in the living room floor and cast shadows on the children of those who came here years ago. And after that song dies down, another child suddenly begins to sing, people get ready, there's a train a-coming, you don't need no ticket, just get on board. And the children keep repeating, get on board, get on board, get on board, get on board. You don't need a ticket this time, just get on board. I'm crying and I can't help it and I'm feeling better than I ever have in my whole life. Glory, hallelujah, come on, get on board. They just keep singing, and I don't know why those children are singing that song. How do they even know that song? They're clapping and their hands are waving and they take me back years and years before I was ever born, and I see my people picking cotton, sweating and following mules in the field. I see women giving birth without epidurals and men being beaten until the setting of the sun, and they just keep saying, you don't need no ticket, you don't need no ticket, get on board, you don't need a ticket for this kind of train. The children keep singing wildly. Some rise and dance what looks like an African victory dance as the spirits consume them. It seems like hours before the excitement calms down to a whisper, get on board, get on board. You don't need no ticket, just get on board. The children are trying desperately to tell me something. I cannot see their faces, but I see their forms. And they're all moving, and they're all connected, and we are all together. And something is happening in this dungeon that I never imagined, that I never believed in even myself. But we are here, we are there, we were there, we were here, and now it is happening. And I raise my head, and the children look like little old people now, miniature versions of their own parents and grandparents who must have some connection to this place in some way. The children smile at me in thanks as I for giving them a gift that I do not possess. And then slowly, as if tranced, they make a single file line. And they walk out of the dungeon. They ascend the stairs, one by one, perhaps just as we had come. We get outside. The spirits touch their hearts. The spirits touch me. One child touches my shoulder and says, I love you, Dr. Tyson. Thank you. In a way that weakens my knees and fills my heart with compassion I never knew before. I stand still and I cry as the spirit of my people overwhelms me. The children comfort me this time, telling me that all shall be well. We form a circle. We form a circle and we touch. And now we simply nod. There's something they know. There's something they understand now. When we return to the classroom, they all make 100 on their spelling tests. And they all want to read aloud, every single one of them. And when I ask who will come to the board and do long division, all of them volunteered this time. Something has happened. Something has changed. Those children have been transformed. They know something now. There's something in their spirits feeding far more than their spirits. I get full and I step outside to wipe my eyes. And when I return to the classroom, I notice that some child has written on the blackboard, children get ready. There's a train coming. You don't need no ticket this time. Just get on. Okay. I want to leave time for questions, but I want to say just a thing or two. This writerly life started right here at this place called, at that time, Clark College, right? When I came here as a freshman in 19-something, I had a jerry curl about down to here. I did. I did. Now, I was fly, all right? Okay, I was, right? I was about half the size that I am now. I was a precocious kid from a little place called Blackwell, Arkansas, and I had gotten a scholarship to come to a place called Clark College, which I'd never heard of before. And I arrived, and my father had given me $50. And my daddy said, pay your tuition, boy, and don't be showing out. Right? First of all, I did neither one of those, because $50 was not going to pay tuition. Right? Right? But I met absolutely some of the most brilliant minds conceivable. I really, truly did. What I realize now, as one who writes and writes and writes and writes, the foundation of my writing happened at this place called Clark College. It really, truly did. I had some of the most unbelievable teachers, and they wore me out. They absolutely wore me out. This is Jocelyn Jackson, this was Dr. Leroy Martin, this was Gloria Blackwell, and they had a ball wearing me out. And when I tell you the standard was so excellent, the standard was so excellent. At this little bitty black school, I was part of the thing called the honors program at the time. And at the time, there was no building or whatever. HP! Now, we met in a house. We met in a shack. No, literally. We met in a shack right down the street. Man, it was a shack. We had wooden desks, right? Like way back in the 1800s with wooden tops. That's absolutely what we had. And in that room is where brilliance and excellence resided. When they said that I want my paper on Monday, they didn't mean Tuesday. They didn't mean Tuesday. They meant Monday. Did you hear me? And you don't have it on Monday, keep it. That's what it was. That's absolutely what it was. And it better be correct. And at the time, of course, I'm writing on a typewriter. And Jocelyn Jackson said, I don't want one error. Now, you know, a typewriter, you don't, a computer, you can just correct it. A typewriter, back then, we had the whiteout. Nobody remembers whiteout anymore, right? Right. In fact, I'm writing a book now called Whiteout, but it means a whole nother thing, but okay. Okay. We had and then we elevated to the strip that you could put right behind. Yeah, y'all remember that, right? Right. And Jocelyn Jackson told me, I don't want any whiteout on my paper. You typed that correctly. I said, oh my God. Now I'm going somewhere with this, right? And every subject and verb had to agree. There could be no misplaced modifiers. All of it had to be correct. And it had to be if you make an error at the bottom, start again. Type this paper and start again. Now let me tell you what that evolved into. When I wrote They Tell Me of a Home and sent They Tell Me of Home, I sent 375-page manuscript, sent into St. Martin's Press in 2004. St. Martin's Press, the senior editor of St. Martin's Press called me and said, Daniel Black, I want to tell you this is an amazing novel. It's just unbelievable writing, great energy. He said, but I'm really calling you for another reason. I said, okay, what is that? He said, this is something that's going to happen that probably hasn't happened here in 20 years. I said, oh, what is that? He said, there is not one error we need to correct in order to print this book. Wow. I said, oh, wow. I said, that's good. Now, that's nice enough. That's not the shout. The shout is, we're going to up your royalty rate because we don't have to edit it. Now, which means they told me there are no editorial comments for this manuscript. I said, my God, this is pretty good. And then it hit me. Somebody had a standard. Somebody gave a little black boy a standard when the rest of the world would have given me leeway, right, not to have it. Somebody taught a standard, and it was at a little place called Clark College. This is our tradition. This is who we are. This is what we do, right? This is how we live. This is why somebody named Marva Collins could graduate from this place and then go to Chicago and create a school that nobody else had ever imagined. It was because something happened at Clark College that planted that seed in her. So what I'm saying to you here, young people, is you got to really understand that sometimes you're in heaven and people don't know the name of the place. All right? So now I go all around the country. I go all around the country reading from one of these books, right? Lecturing to people here and there. And now it's gotten to the place where I walk by people and they'll say, "Oh my God, I think that's Daniel Black." Right? And I walk right on. You know? All right. How much time do we have? Okay, great. I'm gonna tell you one quick story, then I'll take a few questions. I was on a plane, where was I? I think I was going to Houston, Texas, and I was the last person to get on the plane. I was late, blah, 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 blah. Got on the plane, sat next to this woman, and she was reading this book, right? And she was flipping pages like she was furious at this book. And she was cursing the book. She was cursing the book out the whole time, right? And she flips the page. This the fuck? Who in the hell? Who is this bitch? Right. And so I said, "Ma'am, you have to forgive me. What in the world are you reading that is making you cuss like this?" And she grabbed my arm and she said, "You listen to me. You've got to read a book called Perfect Peace." I said, "Really?" I said, "Girl, what is it about?" So she goes on and on and on about this book called Perfect Peace, and she's telling me about it. I said, "Is it that good? Get you a copy of Perfect Peace. Brother, I'm telling you, you got to get this book." I said, "Who is the author?" I said, I don't think I've heard this title. So I'm just messing with her the whole time, right? So the plane is beginning to taxi backwards, right? She's steady telling me about this, and she's reading in her Kindle, so she's flipping her pages like this, right? And she says, "David, Donald, something." I said, "Do you have the back cover, in your Kindle?" And she said, "Oh yeah, I think I do. Let me pull that up." So she pulls it up, and of course my picture's on the back cover. So she pulls it up, and we're taxiing backwards, and she goes, "Ah!" Right. Now, of course, screaming on an airplane nowadays is not a good idea. Right? It's not a good idea. She screams bloody murder. The plane comes to an abrupt stop, just an abrupt stop, right? And the pilot runs down the aisle, says, "Is this an NSA emergency?" She can't talk because she is so overcome. I said, "Sir, oh God." I said, "Sir, no, this is not an NSA." I said, "Oh God." I said, "We going to jail, girl." Right. So she finally is able to breathe and tell the pilot, she tells the pilot the whole story, right? He goes to the front and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very famous writer on board with us tonight," right? So it was an awesome story. But I went there, I ran into someone else there, a very famous woman, and when I saw her, I went to her and I said, "I want to just thank you for who you are, thank you for your writing, thank you for your amazing," and she said, "Okay, well, what's your name?" I said, "My name is Daniel Black," and she said, "Oh, you're not the author of Perfect Peace, and you're not that Daniel Black, are you?" I said, "Yes, have you read Perfect Peace?" She said, "Have I read Perfect Peace? Are you crazy?" Right, and she's going, and I'm standing like, I'm like, "What the heck is this? What's going on in my life?" And she says, "Perfect Peace is my favorite novel." I said, "Are you serious?" She said, "Come over here with me," right? And she grabs my arm and pulls me she said, "Listen, here's my private phone number, here's my private email address. You have got to write me because we have got to talk about Perfect Peace," right? It was Alice Walker, right? And so now Alice and I, we are very dear friends. The last thing I'll leave you with is, from the looks of things, if things go the way things are headed, I think we're going to get us a movie deal out of Perfect Peace. I think that's going to be the first one. I think it's going to happen. Yes. That'll put us on the map. There's lots and lots of buzz and lots of conversation. I've got some calls from some very famous, some of the right people, and we'll see how this goes. But if we do it, we're going to premiere it right here in the AU Center. Yes, that's how that's going to go. So I know my time is almost up, so let me take a question or two from any of you who might have a question, because I know you're rushing to buy books, of course. So.
Right, and we've got to set up the next one.
Oh, okay.
One question.
One question, anyone?
That's all we have time for.
Okay, if not, and I'll stand outside in front and we can talk more if we like.
Dr. Black.
Yes, sir.
I don't want to ask you a question because I know we're running out of time, but I just wanted to say thank you.
Yes, sir.
As you know, I graduated from Clark Atlanta in 2000.
Yes.
So I remember you very vividly.
Wow.
And thank you. Thank you.
You are most
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
Yes, sir. You are most welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have a special treat. We promised that we would have another drawing, so we will proceed with that. After every event, we have a drawing, and I believe the prizes increase in value.
Well, the last one at 4 o'clock is the increase in value.
Okay, okay.
Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mike Marshall. I'm Associate Vice President for Enrollment Services, and I wanted to share with you that a lucky winner will receive a $100 gift card to the bookstore to purchase several of these books, right? Yeah, so let's give it up for Dr. Black once again.
Thank you.
And so, okay. Do I read the number?
The name.
Okay. Lyree Smith Stallworth? Oh, Lyric. Smith Stallworth? Oh, not here. You got to be present to win? Oh, Lyric. Oh, yeah.